Hey everyone, welcome to Indie Interactive, where we talk about making great music, connecting with your audience, and growing your business. My name is Bree Noble. I'm the founder of Female Entrepreneur Musician, Women of Substance Radio, and the Female Musician Academy. And today on Indie Interactive, we are battling with Facebook. We have been trying to go live on Facebook for a bit through the Zoom, which we usually do, and it was not working. Like, I tried everything and it would just crash after about 1 to 2 minutes every time. It looks like this is working okay. So I'm not holding my breath because it has crashed several times, but this just means you guys don't get to see my cool slides and I don't get to use my green screen. You get to see kind of the behind the scenes where I'm sitting in front of a green screen. But looks like, thank you guys so much for the hearts and everything. Looks like so far it is holding up. So I'm just gonna kind of hang out for a minute because I don't want to start launching into stuff and then see that the stream is unstable. So I want to say hi to Carol and Catherine and Marie and Molly. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. It's alive. Yes, it is. It's alive for now. I'm just super nervous that it's not going to stay alive, but we'll just improvise. Like, I don't have my slides, obviously, like I usually do, because I can't show them this way. But we will we'll pretend that they're there, and we'll just have a nice conversation about income streams. So obviously we've been talking about income streams for the past month because we've been doing the Profitable Musician Summit, and I have brought 33 different income streams throughout the summit for you guys to learn about, because I wanted to make sure that you had a whole bunch of different options. And the reason is because it is really hard to make a living and a steady living as a musician. And so figuring out a bunch of different ways that you can make money from music is important. So maybe you've been thinking all this time, like, why do I need to do that? Why can't I just perform live and sell CDs? Or why can't I just, nowadays there's all these people selling you this idea that you can just do everything online and you can, get fans online and sell music online and all that. I kind of don't believe that. I believe it's important to diversify, number one, but I also believe that, performing live is really important. So we're going to talk about why you need to have income streams. And, I can speak to this from the perspective of being a musician, having to have all these multiple income streams. And even now in my business, like, I don't have one income stream in any shape or form. Like, I have probably 5 or 6 different ones, including the fact that I still do occasionally some demos for people, because I think it's good for me to stay in the game. And, that's one income stream. It's not a huge one, but it all comes together to make a beautiful puzzle that fits together that makes you your income. So I'd love to find out from you guys that are here, like, how many income streams do you have right now, if you can count them? And, I'm kind of bummed because today we invited people from the summit, and of course, this is the day that everything crashes. So anybody of you are in the chat right now that are new, like, this doesn't usually happen. Usually it all works perfectly. So let's see. And I want to say hi to Sarah and let's see, Riffin Tiff, love it. She says, cheers to income streams. That is great. Fingers crossed. Thank you, Carol. Yeah, me too. I think that it's something to do with the new integration between Zoom and Facebook, because, like I said, we were lucky that the live stream for the opening party worked fine, because when I went to start it, everything looked completely different. So I think they're changing some things. Riff and Tiff said 7 income streams. That is great. I love that. I think when I was doing music full time and not what I do now, I probably had 5 or 6 different income streams. And I think that that's probably what you want to shoot for. So let's talk about why we need them. So I had these lovely slides, but we'll just pretend that they're here. And my first slide was talking about how income is seasonal, especially with live venues. So I don't think Carlene is here yet, but she lives in Florida, and she often talks about how her income streams are very seasonal as far as like the venues that she performs at, because Florida is very tourist centric in the wintertime. So for her, she kind of has an opposite tourist and seasonal schedule than maybe I do, because I'm in California. So for Californians, like that's when they have all the festivals, is in the summer. They have, you know, there's a lot more venues that you can perform at that are outside, and farmers markets and things like that that happen in the summer. And then I was kind of thinking about Tara B, because Tara, you know, she's been expanding her income streams. Now she has a booking course. And before that, you know, and still she performs tons of dates throughout the year. And she, you know, we were deciding, like, she does this challenge twice a year called Book Like a Boss. And we were deciding when to do that in the twice a year time. And she's looking at her calendar and she's like, okay, well, these are the times that I can't do it because I'm absolutely slammed with gigs. And for her, obviously, December is a big time with holidays. And, you know, for me, I was always super busy during December. And then for her, it tends to be Valentine's Day as well. So we couldn't do it before Valentine's Day. We ended up doing it at the end of February, because before Valentine's Day, she, like the 2 weeks before, she had a ton of gigs leading up to that. So, and then I think she has, maybe July is another big one too, because she's performing at a lot of different, you know, outside places. So are there any times for you guys in the chat that you find are really, you know, totally slammed as far as gigs, and then other times that you find that are just kind of really slow? So let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. Let's see. Catherine says, my teaching and classical shows are winter incomes. Yes. And then summer is mostly fiddling. Yeah. So her income streams work really well because her teaching is obviously mostly from September to May or June. And then those middle months in the summer, she does a lot of different festivals and touring and stuff for her actual performing as a fiddler. So I'm guessing for her too, probably December gets crazy because you still have students, plus you also have performances. Hey, thank you guys for hanging out and showing up over here on this stream. This is like my 4th stream today, but it seems to be staying alive. So we're just doing the behind the scenes, hanging out with the green screen version of the Indie Interactive today. So yeah, so seasonal is a big reason, especially with live performances, that you know, for me, I would always do a lot of tours in like February, March, May, September, and then December. And so then those other months I wasn't as busy, and I needed to find other ways to bring in income. So that's why we need to be looking at the different income streams. So the next thing that I had on my list is that the markets change, right? So what I'm thinking about here is that things like iTunes sales, right? Maybe you used to do really well on iTunes as far as selling, you know, downloads and albums and things like that. That's going to be changing. iTunes has said that they are phasing out downloads sometime in 2019. So we really need to be jumping on the streaming bandwagon, even if we don't like it, and be focusing on getting people over to Spotify and Pandora and places like that where you're making streaming income. So learning about all the different ways that you can make income, including downloads and streaming, is important. Tomorrow on the summit, we've got, Allison Sharp from Bandzoogle is talking about getting people to download from your website, which you can still absolutely do, even if iTunes goes away. There's still people that want to download, and those are probably going to be your most hardcore fans anyway that would be going to your website. But then we've got Sarah Hamilton from Ditto Music talking about streaming and how to increase your streaming income, not just, in your local area and with your fans, but all over the world. So you need to be thinking about those different ways that you can bring in money, as, if you're relying a lot on things like iTunes, that is going to decline, has been declining. I still believe that CD sales at local events are going to remain constant, because the people that buy from you there are people that want to support you, and they're not going to stop buying. But I do think that people are going to change the way that they buy online. So, and as people may eventually stop coming as much to local venues, and you might need to switch your focus to performing online, as we talked about on day 4 with Concert Window and with, monetizing things like Facebook Live. Those may be things that you want to start moving into eventually. I mean, say that venues in your area start closing, like you need to have something in place that you can still monetize live performing. So, Jennifer Knapp talked about how she has kind of created Concert Window as a monthly residency for herself. So she always knows whether her performing schedule is busy, whether she's touring, or whether she's doing other things and not performing as much. She's always got income from this Concert Window every month. So that's how you need to be thinking about streams of income in relation to changes in the market. So another thing that I put down that can really throw off your steady income, and if you've got different income streams, then you can adjust, is if you have some kind of health issues. And I definitely went through this in my career. I have a disease called Crohn's disease, if you guys don't know. And after I had my kids, it just went a little bit crazy. And I had a few times where I was hospitalized. And had I not had these different streams of income where I could still record demos from home, I could still write. I was writing songs for some other collaborators that were actually paying me to help write some songs. If I hadn't have had those incomes, it would have been much more difficult, because there was a time period where I couldn't go out and perform. I was not healthy enough. And I know many of you go through these kind of health struggles. Another thing is when I was pregnant, I performed a lot while I was pregnant, but at some point I hit a wall and just said, you know what, I have to cancel these last few gigs. There's just no way that I can handle, the stress of going to these gigs that were an hour away and all that's involved, and dragging my stuff, and, being able to even breathe when I was trying to sing. So at that point, I focused more on doing stuff from home, and I had a bunch of back work that I had needed to catch up on for some other people that I was doing demos for them. And I was able to just completely focus on that, recording from home, and not have to worry that I was missing out on the gigs that I was obviously missing out on because I was pregnant and just couldn't perform. So I'd love to hear in the chat if you guys have had any experiences like this where you had some health challenges. I know Beth had foot surgery, and that really, made it hard for her to book performances. And so if you're able to get some kind of other income, then that, wouldn't affect you quite as much. And I know, many of you have had some health frustrations along the way. And the final thing that I'm going to talk about, which is kind of relates to this a little bit, but it's really life situations. So sometimes the issues related to health are related to someone in your family, and you have to kind of back off on live performing because you've got to, help an aging parent or a child that is, dealing with a disease or, a really difficult time with sickness, especially when they're little. Life situations can throw things off a lot. in the performing side of things. And so finding, income that you can make from home is really helpful in these situations, or if you need your schedule to be flexible because you have these things you need to take care of in your life, and you just can't like set things up on a calendar and know that you'll be able to go to these gigs. So I did a whole podcast that was kind of bringing in all the different ideas of income that you can make from home, everything from music licensing to home studio to in a few days, Jody's going to talk about voiceovers, from, teaching from home at long distances. We had talks about that yesterday on the summit. And so even if you can't, maybe your students come to your home, but maybe you can't even do that. Maybe you just need to teach them from afar, and that's totally doable in these days. So these are some really good ideas that you can throw in there when your streams of income are decreasing because of not being able to be reliable going out and performing live. And, there are so many things in life that can happen. Maybe you have to move. Maybe you go on, I go on a 3-week vacation every month with my family because we go back to Maine, and there's no point in going that far unless you're going to be there for a while. And so I need to be able to organize my life around that. And so the more that you can be flexible in putting in different streams of income at different times and kind of knowing what your year looks like, the better. So I'm just going to kind of see what everybody is saying in here. Yeah, and Beth also said she was helping her mom this last year, which kind of made me think of this, that, she really couldn't go far from home. And she felt like she had 2 additional part-time jobs. Absolutely. And it's really hard to book gigs when that kind of thing is going on. Good morning also to Christina. Oh, Riff and Tiff says she just joined Gig Salad. That is awesome. So I'm assuming maybe you saw it on the summit today. If you haven't watched today's summit events, we've got 3 really amazing speakers on live gigs, including Jeff Celentano talking about corporate events. We have Tara B talking about niche events. And then we have Nancy Moran talking about booking tours. And then we have 2 people talking about Gig Salad, which are also live events. They're more on like the private scale, like, weddings and private parties and things like that. We have an artist who talks about it, Kylie Wright. And then I brought in someone directly from Gig Salad so you could understand exactly how the site works and know exactly what kind of gigs you can get there and how to make the most of it and all that. And I know that many of you have joined Gig Salad and gotten some really cool gigs from it, been able to put in some quotes on some things that are even, like Beth got a request for a quote about something that's in 2019, which I think is cool because it's going to be a really big, a neat opportunity if it works out. So they've got everything from like, we need you tomorrow to we want you for this bigger thing, in 6 months. So good morning to Tammy. So Carol says, my income streams are kind of seasonal too, because public libraries tend to book us specifically for children's performances toward summer. Yes. Yeah, we have that too at our library when the kids are home. Totally. I know that they do have, like, for younger kids, they do tend to have those year round, but those are like, preschool and under. But, the bigger kids, they obviously have to have them when it's summer for them. She says her folk jazz stuff happens more throughout the year, especially around the holidays. Yes. Teaching. So Carol says, teaching, gigs, and my pension. That makes 3 income streams. Looking into more ideas. Great. Yep, that's what I'm trying to bring you on the summit. More ideas, not to, again, overwhelm you, but to spark some interest in you. And then you can, really pursue the ones that make sense for you. Molly says, late winter is always slow for us. People seem to have holiday burnout. Yep. And social engagement fatigue. It's true. I think January is probably the hardest month. People are just done for a while. Then they kind of pick up for Valentine's Day. I'm not sure if, your band tends to do Valentine's Day events or not, but Riff and Tiff says summer is huge for weddings. Yes, it is. Festival gigs. Winter, we are hoping to go south for year-round gigs in good weather. Sounds like a great plan. Completely makes sense on how you're booking yourself. Let's see. Do we have any more comments, you guys? I know this has been not the best, not my favorite way of doing the Facebook Live in front of a green screen, but hopefully by next week, Zoom will have figured out their issues. I think they've just changed kind of the integration of how it works together. So Catherine Thompson says, let's see, I hate when this moves. My income is CD sales, online downloads, and streaming, and a bit from shows. Okay. So that sounds like some good diversity, but maybe probably increasing, and also just looking at how you can increase each one of those a little bit makes a big difference, right? We don't have to go crazy with booking a ton of shows, but increasing each one by a small amount can make a big difference if you're looking at a bunch of different income streams. Let's see. Catherine Mahler says, I have had a lot of requests for weddings through Gig Salad. That's great, as well as some corporate events. I haven't been able to book much yet because I have usually already been booked. Well, that's a good problem to have if you're already booked, definitely. So it's not that it's because you're already working that you can't do it. That's always the best reason to not be able to book a gig. Wanted to say good morning to Catherine M. Thompson and Cindy. See, any more conversation about income streams? Let's see. Beth says, according to Tara, January is a good month to focus on booking. Yeah, I'm assuming you mean actually doing the booking. That makes total sense because it does seem to be very, very slow in January. I can't remember what she said on her session. I'd have to go back and check. But Cindy says Tara's session is terrific. It absolutely is. Yes, it's a great problem to have for sure. Okay, you guys. Well, I wish this had gone differently, but hey, we're still here. We're still recording. So thank you guys for showing up as usual. I really, really appreciate you showing up live. Hopefully by next week, we'll have our slides back and everything will be working correctly technologically. But until then, I hope you guys continue to make great music, connect with your audience, and grow your business. Thanks so much for showing up, you guys. Have a fantastic day and a fantastic week.